is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is a band, my favorite band of 2019 so far. That's Heavy as Texas from their self-titled debut. That was Reality Check. And on the line right now we have the high priest of distortion himself, the monster behind the guitars on that song, and you probably know him from another band or two that we play here on the show. It's Marzi Montazeri. Marzi, how are you, man?
My dear motherfucker, how are you?
Dude, I am, not only am I good, but I am just that much better because I got to spend the last hour getting ready for this interview just blasting
Nice.
Heavy as Texas in my headphones, man. Such a great disc, dude.
Fucking A, man. I'm so fucking happy to hear that. Thank you for that. It definitely pumps you up.
Oh, dude, not only does it pump you up, but it kind of, and I'm sure you've heard this, but it fills a void. All of us that were Pantera guys, which obviously I'm sure you were as well, have longed for that band that doesn't mimic Pantera, but sort of has that groove thing. And this has it.
We definitely don't mimic Pantera. We don't, but I do appreciate. I get what you're saying about the void, because they were a great band, and unfortunately, what happened to them? What happened to them?
Sure.
And they were no longer. They're no longer around. But their audience and the kids growing up didn't have a chance to actually bear witness to that. Kyle and I have been doing this style of music before,
sure,
Pantera probably, and we're just through the years done different projects and been, personally speaking, now I've just been absolutely blessed to be working with Kyle Thomas, not only in one band, but in two bands, and I couldn't ask to be with a better front man. And ask for a better brother and a friend,
Sure.
If I needed to talk to somebody right now, I talk to someone.
Right.
I'll pick up the phone and call Kyle. If I had something serious happen to me, like family deep related, if I needed someone to talk to, who would listen to me without interrupting me or talking about himself and give sound advice, that would be Kyle Thomas. He's that kind of a man, and I'm glad to have him in my corner in this band. I knowing that he was involved, not having a single clue as to what he was going to do, other than on two songs that I had written the songs for, the vocals for. I went into the studio and did all that I did, and gave it to him, and he recorded all of it by himself in New Orleans. And I didn't have to ask Kyle to redo, add, subtract, do anything to what he gave me. So he gave me a perfect body of work vocally. And I sent it to California where it was mixed and mastered. And we put my music and his vocal together. And it just meant, it literally, it was like, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly, bread and butter, spaghetti sauce and noodles.
Right.
It was like, it meshed, man, so good. And again, you can put things together with thought, and or you can go about it, and there's this natural chemistry. All of my life, I grew up watching bands that just had that chemistry. Obviously, we all did.
Sure. Black
Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, Aerosmith, ZZ Top, all these bands like Pink Floyd had the members of the band that pulled together some way to create what they ultimately sounded like. Now, when they say, when people are so good, they make it look easy. Well, sure, they sure made it look easy, because when I went to go do that, when I went to pursue it, it was in Houston, Texas. It was the most difficult thing to do, because out of this city, very seldomly, like at that age, very, 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 millions of people live here. We're talking about one or two people were popping up as, prodigies or like people that had potential to, be in the music business, do this and do that. I was fortunate enough to be in the neighborhood growing up where Bob Brock, who later changed his name to Bobby Rock, who played with Vinnie Vincent Invasion,
Sure.
the Nelson Brothers, all that. I remember, but not to discredit him by telling him, by mentioning the bands that he played in, but as far as a person and a musician, you know, that dude was just like an idol to me, man. He still is a big inspiration, still to this day, because of his momentum and just this drive, like insane drive. So, yeah, I didn't have any parents. I didn't have any friends. I would see him, and I would see him talk. So that always inspired me. I always wanted to get guitar lessons. I always wanted to be schooled. I always thought there should be like some kind of regiment in a day, because the sun does come up and it goes down and the moon comes up. And it's just like this universal cycle that happens. So I thought, you know, well, I go to sleep and I wake up. Then the time that I'm awake, you know, I wish I could like do something. But since I didn't have lessons and I didn't have anybody, not even a friend, tell me what to do, I never knew what to do. So what I would do was fish for a long time, is what I call it. I noodle with the guitar for a very, very long time. And what would take a kid probably like 2 seconds to learn from a teacher, it would take me probably 2 years, 2 weeks, 2 months. I don't know.
Right.
I just would dabble with things, and I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just messing around, literally just messing around, like completely messing around. Not, you know, once in a while putting a couple of things together, you know, it would work. It would go into my memory bank, then this, then that. So, you know, now, regardless of what body of work I put out, me personally, I have a relationship with this instrument. It's just sat in my lap throughout the years that I've lived. Before I had kids, you know, all throughout every single failed relationship, you know, both in business, both with, you know, with the girls I was going out with.
Yeah.
Like all the most miserable things in life, I had it in my hand and I was playing it, and it taught me a lesson, and it was there with me, and it never talked back, and it was very sincere, and it's always showed me how much I suck or how good I am at the same time.
Well, dude, let's talk about this. When did you know that you were, you know, far more than just a capable guitar player? Because, you know, for an outsider looking in, and obviously it's not the case, but as an outsider, it looks like you came up from out of nowhere. It's like I had not heard your name, and then you were in the Illegals, then you're recording with Ripper Owens, then you're recording this with Kyle Thomas, you know, and Exhorder and all this other stuff. It's like, wow, where did this guy come from? Obviously, you've had a long rise to it. When did you know that you were good enough to be, you know, in with the more or less the A-list crowd?
Well, that's a double-sorted question, I think, because as far as like believing in myself and knowing that I like belonged, like in a big picture, I've known that since I was a teenager. Okay. But as far as like knowing how good I think I am and stuff like that, that's not a question. I don't think that. I don't think that at all. In fact, if you're close to me, you know that I beat myself up rather hard. I'm aware of the talent that's out there today. I'm aware of the people playing the most impossible things that I didn't even imagine when I was younger. I'm completely aware of it, but I'm also completely aware of the fact that I'm a unique soul, and I see and hear things differently than other people, man, and that's what I have to embrace. So because of it, I don't play arpeggios and this and that and that, and like everybody else. Like, I'm not a bookworm, you know.
Right.
I talk when I speak with a slang, and I do it the same way when I play guitar. There's a, you know, I have all these things that are human within me, so I express it on the instrument. So I don't know. I do serve it to make sure that, like, you know, it speaks for itself. If there's a nervousness, or if there's just like a calm beauty, or how, you know, because we feel all these things all the time. But it translated it in this album.
Sure.
So you're right. I mean, so it's one of those things, you know, overnight success kind of things that happen all your life. I've been doing this forever. I was in Superjoint in the mid '90s to late '90s. after that, I started this band that was going to end up being the Heaviest Texas. Then I, was with the Illegals for about 5 years, and after that, I created a label in Houston with a partner of mine to put music out, and I put the Ripper CD out. Now Heaviest Texas. I joined Exhorder, and got Exhorder album coming out later this year. But as far as what I'm doing, besides Exhorder, as I'm pursuing this label, I'm pursuing the Heaviest Texas full on because we are a startup band. We're brand new. And in this day and age, it's kind of tough to be a brand new band. And our little gimmick, schmick, whatever the hell you want to call it, is that we're ourselves, man.
Yeah.
We're not. We're definitely, I was like, this album's going to speak for itself because all 8 songs are completely different from one another, and yet they have a unified sound. I get it. And same thing for the next album. It's going to have some songs that are extremely heavy, and it's going to have songs that are not heavy. And it's just however we feel. This Heaviest Texas is basically Kyle Thomas and myself sitting down on a back porch, having a beer or something, and like we don't even drink. Like sitting down and talking. We
Right.
do that a lot to each other. We have heart-to-heart talks. And that's basically what this album is. It's like we're talking musically and lyrically about things that only and are about us and things that are about our lives that are important, and then or have been important and that have hit us very hard. And we write about these things, so then we can actually give ourselves some peace, some kind of medicine for the trauma or the experience or the joy, or whatever the experience may have been. We write songs like storytellers.
Sure.
So then we can, and these stories are like medicine for us. And the way he put it together, the way Kyle lyrically put it, anyone is going to be able to get something out of it in their own. They can interpret it in their own way, and get it, but get it in their own way. It's kind of like reading a book,
Right.
It's far more interesting than, when you give a book to, 10 different kids, you're going to have 10 different visions. But if you watch one movie, you're watching one person's vision of that book, So this is what he's doing. We're kind of giving people a canvas to go through.
Sure.
I enjoyed this band. It's an exciting band. I'm the only guitar player in it, so I get to jump around and be monkey. I love growing up with Van Halen and stuff like that. So there's freedom in having a one guitar player band.
Sure.
There's a lot, So I'm looking forward to that. I'm only strictly speaking live too. Live, we're going to be able to go bananas, and that's what we're working on that right now. The album was released a week ago.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So today is a celebration. It's a 1-week celebration of the album.
Very cool, man. And I got to say, dude, you have made it very easy for somebody that's really digging it, like myself, to promote it to other people by putting it on your website saying, here, take it, it's free. That
ended up, yesterday I was doing an interview, and I think it was brought up as like a clever marketing something, and I'm going to be honest, 1,000% honest with you, I didn't think that way at all. I literally, everybody, when I was getting towards the end, they were like, asking me what my intent was, or telling me, giving me people, close friends that are really listening to it. They come over and they were listening to the final master and stuff like that, and being blown away by it and saying these things I'm like, man, this sounds great. What's up? I'm like, man, I'm trying to give it back. Well, I'm trying to give it back. Literally give it back. I'm trying to give it back to my heroes that helped me, grow up listening to music. I'm trying to give it back to the audience listener that deserves to hear good sounding, good quality, production. I'm trying to give it back to all the guitar players that influenced me. I'm trying to give it back to the kids today that are deprived of music that has integrity, but more of cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Even a lot of all the bands out there are killer. The musicians and stuff like that are, they're all killer. Some of them, they just don't know it, but they're wearing hats. It's like wearing like I don't know, man, like a hat.
Right.
Just a hat that's popular. Let's say it's a green hat. It's popular, made by some so fashionable company, and then everybody wears it. It's like you're not different when you're wearing the same flipping hat, man. Especially if you're an artist, if you're a musician. So when you follow formulas, it's like, man, forget that. So for this, we were like, man, we're writing 8 different songs. And the next album, I got like about 10 songs ready to go for it, and talk about 10 different songs.
Right.
And you add them together with this. I don't know how many will make the album if they were all together. And you take the Uprising material too, add it to this stuff. You know, it's all me writing it. It's they're entirely different songs. They have entirely different grooves. They have different chord structures. You know, so I can't sit there and tell you I'm going to be writing a black metal album, death metal album, new metal album. I'm not doing that.
Right.
Do what I want.
Do you explore so many different styles because you're not necessarily a fan of one style? Because you know a lot of guys when they're in bands they write to what they like, and it seems I mean if nothing else, listening to the Superjoint stuff and the Phil stuff, and then listening to the Ripper stuff and this stuff, it's very different across the board. It's as a person that loves guitar, it's definitely very challenging to believe that you play on all this stuff because it is so different from record to record.
I grew up loving music.
Right.
Still to this day, you're not going to be able to call me a metalhead.
Right.
I'll take it, but I'm just not a metalhead. Do I love heavy metal? Shit, yes, I do. It's the energy, though. It's the feeling. Do I like rock and roll? Do I like hard rock? Do I like punk and hardcore? Yes. Do I like death metal? Yes. Do I like black metal? Yes. Do I like jazz? Yes. Do I like country? Yes. Some pop? Sure. Some? Sure. I like classical music, blues, traditional, folk music from different countries. I love it. I love it all.
Right.
And I read a quote once that I guess would resonate well now within this topic from the great drummer Billy Cobham. And he said, listen to everything. Now, I did this by choice because I loved everything. But he says, you know, as a musician, listen to everything, because if you just listen to one type of music, and when you go to put that out, your music will sound like a stick. But if you listen to everything, it will blossom like a flower. That really resonated well with me, and I was like, I'm on that path. So now when I sit down to write, because I do love all elements of music, it's like being in a buffet, man. It's like, what do I feel like having today? Or like like exactly that too. What do I feel like having today? Right. So what do I feel like expressing today? Do I feel like, that depends on the personality. You know, you could be a humorous guy. You could be a bipolar individual. You could be crazy like me. And so the music comes out however, you got it in your head. In the end, I dive in and lose myself in it. So what I end up doing is I become a servant for the song, and I try to just basically serve the song the best that I can. And the only way I know how to do that is by working really hard. And when you work supremely hard, you leave the ego behind, because you don't have time to go, hey, look at me. Because look at me is at the end of the job, man. When you're putting the record out, people are going to look at that.
Right.
So why not focus on that instead of going, hey, I'm cutting the record, or like when I joined Exhorder and to get on social media and say, hey, I joined Exhorder, you come suck my dick. It's like, no, man. It's like, it's time to work. Ask those guys. Ask them what happened the day I said yes. I started an 18-hour practice session trying to get ready for Exhorder to go take on Europe and America. So I haven't stopped. My workload because of Exhorder has doubled. And it's made things not stressful, but I've had to juggle,
Sure,
a lot. And with the Heaviest Texas things coming in, Heaviest Texas, I was asked to join Exhorder when I was recording the very last track of the album, which was literally the last track being recorded, and coincidentally, it became the last track on the record. Love Gets Us All, I was in the middle of it, and then jumped and went with, Exhorder. In the midst of it, I had an uncle in Houston that I wasn't close with, but he got Alzheimer's and dementia, and then, he lived by himself, and I've never seen a person lose their mind or being around them. He needed professional help, and I had to be with him for 3 months and take care of him prior to getting help for him. It's just, I wasn't prepared for any of this. While I was doing this, I was mixing and mastering with Chris Collier. He was mixing and mastering. I was producing it by listening to the mix and masters via the internet, man, online, which wasn't my favorite thing to do. I wanted to get up and go to L.A., sit down with him. My circumstances didn't allow me. It was absolutely sheer terror. Not only the recording process of it was very difficult and grueling, and but so was the ending process. So the album ended up sounding and being the way it was, but there's a lot of blood and sweat that was behind it that, you just don't see. And, some of it then, I'm just glad in the end the body of work that was put out there has some sincerity in it where, for years to come, when you listen to it and you're like, yeah, these are good songs. You can definitely tell these guys went out there trying to, prove some kind of point. Look at me or show off this way, show off that way. We're just songwriters. Right. And I'm putting my production experience.
Sure. It sounds like this is going to be. It's an odd time for you because it almost sounds like these are going to be songs that 5 years from now, because of what you went through to get them done, you're not even going to want to hear them anymore.
Well, that's, yeah. There's. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. You just hit a hard nail in the head. When Alice in Chains came out with their new album, they have a ballad on there that's just I fell in love with.
Sure.
And then a traumatic thing happened to me in my life. Okay. Just yesterday, I was thinking that, man, if I heard this song right now, it would literally break me down. And the melody just kept playing in my head, and I had to actually get rid of it. I had to find a way to fucking get myself out of it because it was sinking me so fucking low.
Right.
That I couldn't take it. But here's the deal with this. That's as much as I steer the ship and I'm like the captain and this and that, I'm very mindful, and I put this music out, and then it's not mine anymore.
Okay.
So I had to commit to it, to part with it. You have to abandon your art at some point for it to be finalized. I did that. I'm content with it. I put it out. I put my seal on it. I put the Ripper EP out. I put Heaviest Texas out. I put my seal on it. Now I gave it away to give back to the audience, to give back to the fans, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's their songs. Now it's what I mean, obviously it matters what Kyle and I feel like playing, and but we made a commitment and we put these songs out there. So if they want to be heard, regardless of what it may or may not bring, I'm gonna accept the challenge, and I'll learn from it somehow.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. And it's interesting because the worst part I write books. I can't. I'm a failed musician from way back, so I write books, and it is always. People will tell you that it doesn't bother them any when somebody says something negative about what you worked on, and they're all full of shit because you work on something 6, 8, 10 months, a year, and then somebody says, it's a piece of shit, just garbage. That bugs you. I have to imagine for you, because it sounds like you're very passionate about what you're doing, that it's got to just kill you if somebody doesn't appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, when I first started this, right after Superjoint, I put out this Marzi. It was a demo, actually. It had 9 tracks on it. and I was working in a music store, and I remember having a British guy that was in the PA department, and I was working in a guitar department. It was early in the morning, and it was a Houston publication called Houston Press. That's pretty, I don't even know if it's around or whatever. Right? And then this guy was like this perverse excitement in his voice. I could hear him coming towards me from the front of the building with the paper in his hand, waving it, and going, "They scolded you, mate. They scolded you. They tore you apart. They tore you apart, mate." And he's like, I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Right.
And he comes and gives me the thing. And mind you now, this is my first time being criticized. Half a page of this, big publication. And this guy just goes to town, calls me a meaningless, not meaningless, directionless songwriter. It's like he starts up and he starts like saying and he liked British pop. So I don't know how he ended up criticizing my record.
Right.
Some of the songs ended up being on To Keep a Promise and Reality Check were on that demo.
Okay.
On that first one, and they ended up on being on this new album. So yeah, and he didn't like the way I didn't embrace the verse, bridge, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus idea. He didn't like the way I took my approach on songwriting, which was like maybe it's the way I talk to people, man. Some people are like, "Man, you're all over the place." So maybe it's that. Maybe I'm not going to make excuses of it. I just know that when I'm coming up with it, it feels right.
Right.
If it feels that way, then you don't question it. You just serve the song. So it wasn't his job to get it or not. And I did work on this son of a bitch a long time. And then for someone this was my first experience now, for someone to just shred it that way. Now, mind you, he ended the article with like 2 full-on sentences, 2-3 sentences that were just amazingly complimentary about like some of the songs that were like, and the production work, because that was my first one I produced.
Okay.
I was like, well, and I actually took his quotes and used it, in our one sheet. Yeah, which was cool. But man, the first thing I wanted to do was find out who he was and beat the shit out of him. That's the first thing I wanted to do. But that's because, I was just young and just like weak and didn't know about these things. And then immediately someone said, they took a half a page to talk about you. So you better learn now that nothing about that is negative. It's all positive. But I was like, I kept going, this motherfucker doesn't know me. I work so hard. He's just going to shred my shit like that. And it's like, and it's true. They just get it and they're just like, They wipe their butt with it, and it's like they don't even discredit all the effort, time that goes into it. It's like, who are you? But so now I don't look for it, and it's not my focal point. I know that all I want to do is do what I've been doing, which is work hard towards the art and stuff like that. So if I don't get the recognition for it, man, it wasn't meant to be. Like if I mean by that, this is like. I haven't. So far, all I've gotten is positive reviews. In case somebody comes up with something,
right?
Like, to each their own, man. But right now, I got 100%, record since this album came out last Friday. My emails, all the interviews I've done with individuals that have heard the record, everyone's take on it. It seems like the record is doing its job.
Sure.
Doing its job. We didn't put makeup on our faces and go, here we are. We didn't wear costumes. We were like, hey, man, here's a guitar, bass, drums, and a guy singing. Like, kind of like, this is how we grew up. I realized it's 2019. I realized there's a lot of musical fads. I realized all that. I realized the internet screwed the artists over, and I realized, music has changed. I know that. But guess what? I'm one stubborn motherfucker, and I'm going to do it my way. And I think me taking the shit that I've taken in my life, it's okay. I've taken it so then I've taken it for all of us.
Right.
So then I can give it back. That's what I keep saying, the word giving it back. It's like I've taken this shit, man, and I've stuck to my guns for not just me, for the likes of me. So that I can in return give back this music and then go out and celebrate it, but not slamming religion down your throat, by not slamming politics down your throat, saying left or right. I'm still that kid that says fuck the establishment.
Right.
You know, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed, and I'm still rebellious, and I'm still, you know, but, you know, choose your own battles these days, and I choose to just put my head down and go write these songs, and I'll say whatever I got to say through these songs.
Sure. I'm curious, and this isn't so much you, but it's related to, you've obviously worked with these two. How, from a creative, and only a creative, because I'm not comparing the two singers, but how different is the creative vibe between Kyle and Philip?
Well, they're both very talented people. I'll start you there.
Okay.
But I will tell you this from working with both of them. They're both very intelligent people.
Sure.
They're both very very talented and stuff. Kyle Thomas is an original. He is entirely original. His voice, his presentation, his lyrics, the way he writes, is everything about Kyle Thomas is an original. Let's just say he's like an apple. Okay, an organic apple. I love Phil. I worked with Phil, and I enjoyed working with Phil. Phil is, at his best, is imitating Kyle. So there lies this like pretentiousness about him, and I'm only saying this because you asked me about the experience I had. So I walked into it knowing, like, regardless of what his demeanor may be or all this stuff, I get it. I get the tough guy thing. I get it. But put all that aside, man. Put that act aside, and what you're going to end up getting is someone pretending to be someone else, kind of like David Lee Roth did with Jim Dandy. David Lee Roth did a great job at it. And Phil with Pantera did the same thing. He did Kyle at that time better than Kyle did. Like, he ripped off his style and his vocal style, because he was doing Rob Halford stuff back then when he first joined Pantera. And when the Cowboys came, he wanted to be an Exhorder so bad that he went back and said, we're going to sound like these guys. And he took it, simplified it, and became the biggest band in the world. But their formula was that. Kind of, again, I'm not bashing no one. I'm just telling you the truth.
Sure.
And like Van Halen was with David Lee Roth and Jim Dandy, kind of, sort of. So, I mean, did they write great records? Did they write great songs? Shit, yes, they did. Is Dimebag the greatest metal guitar player? Goddamn right. He was my best friend. And man, I will, dude, he was Pantera.
Right.
You know, him and, you know, so, but, you know, but his style, his lead playing is just unmatched, man. Unmatched. And so that's, you know, basically the gist of it. It's like one is completely an original, and it's influenced by a hell of a lot, but the other is like, you know, trying to be the original and doing a really good job imitating him, but in the end, it's just like one guy trying to be somebody else.
Sure.
So that's the way.
All right, I'm going to throw a comparison out there, and you can tell me I'm full of shit, but I'm playing off
working with both of them for.
Let me throw a comparison out here, Marzi, and you tell me if I'm full of shit here, because I'm reading off of what you're saying, where you're saying that Philip kind of imitated Kyle for Pantera. Did he do the same thing with Down for Floodgate?
Man, I don't even know why. Okay, yes, absolutely, man. Yeah, absolutely. When you have the ability to do things, you know, and then you see something else happen, you take it. You know, some people don't care if they rip something off. In fact, they're blatant about it. There's a riff on Vulgar Display of Power that he played for me, and when he played it, I looked at him and I said, man, that sure sounded like a lot like Helmet. And he goes, what do you think I ripped it off from? He boldly told me that. And when the guy from Helmet, he took him to the back of the bus and he played that riff for him, and he had to get up and leave. The dude from Helmet just got up and left, and because he was like, wow, I can't fucking believe this. It wasn't like an homage. It was like a blatant ripoff. Like, this works, so I'm going to just take it, because I'm at a point right now, no matter what I do, people think I'm coming up with it. So that's just a game being played. And in the end of the day, you know, truth comes out, good music comes out, and stuff like that. But in the end, I'm not discrediting anyone.
Sure.
But just, you know, you're asking about, like, you just asked me an honest opinion about comparison. Yeah, Down came about after that. So, you know.
Right.
Right. I mean, they did a very first record, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it was like, you know, kind of like, I don't know. From Louisiana, there's only a couple of bands that you can say are original. The rest of them are imitating other bands. They say it. They admit it.
Sure.
They were like, this started as a joke of us imitating this band. Now it became a genre. So it's the state of America.
Right. No question, man. Well, Marzi, the record for right now that people can get is Heavy as Texas. It's over at heavyastexas.com. It's free, so nobody has a reason not to have it. And tell me real quick, are you guys going to get to tour? Are you going to get to play at least some shows out and about?
We are right now, currently, since the album has come out, have focused myself and management to try to get on the road, man. We're gonna pounce on it, and we are definitely gonna go bring this out live. We are definitely 1,000% gonna bring it out live. I don't know what we're gonna play, but I know that I want to play everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. America is a big place. I've been to Europe. I've been to East Europe. I like to bring this to the east of the world. I want to take it to South America. Anywhere I can play it, anywhere. It's music that's kind of like for everybody. So we want to just basically go and share it, you know, with our fellow brothers and sisters. It's really simple. Music unites, man, like it or not. And we're just the new ambassadors of it. And I personally could not be more happier to be able to have a chance to shake someone's hand, give them a guitar pick, play for them live, take a picture, give them a hug. And I couldn't be happier standing next to Kyle Thomas doing it.
Very cool, man. Well, as we said, the band is called Heavy as Texas. So is the record. It's over at heavyastexas.com or anywhere that you buy music or listen to music. So go over there and get it. And Marzi, as a tradition on the show, we always ask the artist to pick a song from the record to wrap the interview up with. Maybe tell us a quick story about it. So what would you like us to wrap up with?
I tell you what, wrap it up with Love Gets Us All.
All right.
That song is a journey, and it basically just says what it says. Love gets us all in the end. In the end, no matter what you do, no matter what you're at, you know, you're created from out of love. And you get back to it. Regardless of what roads you take, you know, all roads lead back to the same river, man. All rivers run into the sea is what I meant to say.
Sure.
Walking around your house cleaning while you're doing interviews, get your boards backwards.
Very nice. Well, let's play some Heavy as Texas right now. Check it out. It is the Classic Metal Show.